Welcome to the Fire and Earth podcast with your hosts, Jason Mefford and Kathy Gruver. Fire and Earth, giving you the keys to unlock your limitless potential.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Fire and Earth podcast. I'm your co-host, Jason Mefford.
And I'm Kathy Gruver, and we are so excited to have yet another amazing guest. This is another good friend of mine from the hypnotherapy world. I know we're tapping every hypnotherapist we can, not to make a tapping EFT joke along with the hypnosis. Anybody that knows what that is like, oh, that was good. Okay, so there's my dear friend, Freddy Jacquin. He's going to share everything he knows in 25 minutes. So, okay. Freddy, thank you so much for being on the show. It's such an honor to have you.
Thanks for asking me.
Yeah, so why don't you give us a little bit about your background, how you got into this in the first place, and then we have so many questions for you. So,
well, there's a story going around. I mean, it is true, but I knew nothing about hypnosis, and my excuse is I was single at the time, and I was out with a friend, and we ended up going back to his place with a couple of girls, and the conversation went round to the normal thing: what do you do for a living? And because I'd had a couple of beers, the first thing that came to mind was I'm a hypnotist. And so she went, ooh, and I've never hypnotized anyone in my life before. You know, I hadn't hypnotized, didn't know anything about it at all. It was just the first thing that came out of my mouth. I'm a hypnotist, like you do when you've had a few beers. So she said, oh, can you hypnotize me? I said, of course I can. Never hypnotized anyone before. But it was, so anyway, so I just said to her, she said, well, go on then. So I said, okay, close your eyes. And I must have seen someone on TV. I said, like your eyes are getting heavier and heavier. They're glued, they're stuck. You can try and open them, find they're completely glued together. And I was expecting her to go, oh, you're not a hypnotist. But no, she went, oh, let me help. She couldn't open her eyes, right? So now I'm stuck because I didn't know that I was going to hypnotize her, and two, I have no idea how to get her out of this stuff. So anyway, I just said, in a moment I'll count to three, your eyes will open, you'll feel great, you'll realise I'm the best man in the world, whatever it was at the time. 1, 2, 3, eyes open. She opened her eyes, and it was just fascinating for me. And from then, I just thought, I've got to learn how to do this stuff, because I never knew anything about it up until that point. And so then a course came up. I'd been in America, and I came back, and I saw this course advertised. It wasn't very good. But I did it, and it got me in. And like Jason was saying, once you're in it, your fascination of it, and it's a rabbit hole, you just got to keep learning. Yeah. And then I started, I just set up a place, started doing quit smoking. And at that time, because I had another business, I was in sales, so I had my own sales company. I just set the thing up, in the advert, and I still think it's a great advert, smoke, want to quit, hypnosis, 1 session. At the time it was £39. That's how long ago it was. £39 guaranteed. If you don't quit, I won't charge you. What have you got to lose but the habit? Right, so it's a great ad. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I'm inundated. And my way of thinking was, well, I can hypnotize one person. I wonder if I can hypnotize two. And then when I realized I could hypnotize two, I thought, well, I can hypnotize a room full of people. So I got into hypnotizing 200 people at a time. In 2006, I saw 5,000 smokers in 1 year. 5,000 smokers in groups of 200 people. And over the course of the time I've been doing this, I've seen over 25,000 people for smoking. So, but then there's all the other things, And as I said, I just love it. And if you can when you hypnotize a room full of people for the first time, and I was so poor at the time, I was still using scripts, but I knew enough to say, right, okay, we're ready to go. Take a breath in, close your eyes, place your feet on the floor, take a breath in, close your eyes. Of course, once her eyes were closed, out came my script. And now, with your eyes closed, you can begin to, and I looked up, and there's like 60 people in a room. I thought, yes, that's great. So anyway, I've loved this ever since. And you've watched me present. I love this stuff. And over the years, my way of thinking of how we work and the things that happen have changed. I used to think that people came into my room and they'd tell me what their problem was. I'd come up with some kind of strategy, or they'd say what they wanted to do or quit doing. I'd listen to them, and then I'd feed it back to them, hypnotize them and feed it back to them. I now think we're already in trance. I think we're already walking around in trance, albeit negative, detrimental trance. I can't quit smoking, I can't lose weight, I can't do this, I can't do that. And so really now I see it in a different way. I think all I've got to do is hypnotize them, take them out of the negative trance they're in, and leave them in a positive Freddy trance. You know, that tends to be the way it is. And it's no longer complex for me. You know, we were just talking before we came on air about the power of emotion. And once we understand how quickly we can influence people, once we set them into create an emotion, it's amazing. I'm going to do it with you, Jason, right now. You ready?
Oh boy, here we go.
You can do it as well, Kath, if you like. But
Okay.
who are the most important people in your life, Jason?
My wife is one.
Right, okay. And what's her name?
Her name's Allie.
Huh?
Allie.
Ali? Okay, do this for me, Jason. Place your hand out in front of you like this, shoulder height. Okay, now look at me in the camera. Just look at me in the camera and think about Ali. Think about the love you feel for her, she feels for you. And feel that love right now. And as you feel that love, I want you to notice that hand's hanging all by itself. Imagine now there's nothing you can do about that. And when you realise there's nothing you can do about it, Jason, you can try and get it down, find it goes even higher. I do not want you to pretend. Push even harder, find that hand goes even higher now. Come on, you're a strong man. Push even harder. Find that hand going up toward the ceiling now. The harder you try and get it down, the harder it's going to go. Push even harder. Find it goes even higher. Now, something strange is going to happen. The harder you try and get the arm down, the higher the other one's going to go. Push even harder. Find the other one coming off the table now. There it goes. But are you hypnotised? Are you in a trance? Is that even your arm? Push even harder. Find it goes even higher. Are you hypnotised? Are you in a trance? No, it's very strange.
I don't know, but my arm feels really weird, like it's not even attached to me.
At this point in time, Jason, we could operate on an arm and you wouldn't even feel it because it's no longer your arm. I'm going to click my fingers, your arm will drift down, your eyes will close for a split second. When they open, you'll probably laugh out loud and you'll realise just how loved you are and how fabulous you are. Right. So for me now...
Yeah, that was okay.
No, I mean I do. I feel that warmth in my heart area now.
Yes.
You know, it's
like it's no longer complex for me. You know, and like we were saying earlier before we came on air, now we've got Zoom. We can work all over the world. There are no limits.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just phenomenal. You know, I live in this tiny little town of 8,000 people, and as I was saying to Jason earlier, you know, it's seaside town, no one's stressed. If I relied on making a living in this town, it would be terrible. But, you know, luckily we're open to the world now with Zoom. Let me do this with you, Kathy. I'm going to show you how I work on Zoom so anyone else watching this can see how I take people into trance on Zoom. I like this and I think you'll like it, okay? Are you ready? I won't leave you or make you do anything stupid, Kathy, all right?
That's okay. I do something stupid all the time.
Place your hand 3 inches from your face. Back, that's it. Now, just relax your hand forward so it's facing away from you. Look at a spot or a line on the back of your hand. Just one line, one spot. And I'd like you, Kathy's unconscious mind, when it's ready to allow the most profound state of hypnosis to start to turn that hand toward her face. I do not want you to do anything, Kathy. Just focus on the spot on the back of your hand. And when the unconscious mind is ready to allow Kathy to drift in the most profound state of hypnosis, I'd like it to start to turn that hand toward her face. That's right, you can feel those fingers starting to move now, Kathy. That's right. And as that hand turns towards your face automatically now. That's right, you can try and hold it still, find it moves even quicker now. When your fingers touch your face, your eyes will close, your body will relax. You will stay in that chair, you will not fall out the chair, but your body will relax, your mind will relax. You're going to go into the most profound, wonderful state of hypnosis. Get ready. Only as quickly as Kathy's unconscious mind is ready to allow that wonderful feeling. That's right, there you go. That's right, all the way in, deeper, deeper, deeper down now. And once again, think about the people you love, Kathy, people that love you. All the people that you've helped with your understanding, your love and your skill. You know, think about those wonderful people out there now, living their lives in a better way because of you. And let that remind you of just how loved you are and how fabulous you are as a woman, as a being, as a therapist. See those faces, feel that love. Let that flood your body with that light and that love. I'm going to count to 3. Your hand will drift down, your eyes will open, but that feeling of love and freedom is going to stay with you. And you're going to understand just how fabulous you are. 1, feeling wonderful. 2, to achieve all the things you want to achieve in your life and do it brilliantly. 3, hand drifting down, eyes opening, feeling absolutely incredible now.
I love you.
Right, so, you know, once you get your head around the idea that this is not about eyes closed. You saw
Right.
it, Jason. There was no eyes closed. Where was the relaxation in that? You know, all the things we were taught over the years about this being important and that being important to help people in trance, that's gone for me now. You know, if I can create an emotion, it's very easy. I can ask Jason about Ali and I can create that emotion. I can get you to think about the people you love and I can create an emotion. And in that moment, your mind is open to that suggestion. So it's great. And as I said, it's no longer complex.
Well, and I want to say is I'm sitting here listening to you, right? I mean, it's like I'm trying to also, you know, like summarize a little bit and you're a badass, right? I mean, it's like, you know, your story of, you know, bringing the girls back to the apartment and saying you're a hypnotist and hypnotizing her and then like, holy crap, you know, and then you
Don't judge me by that.
No, but I mean, you know, and you jump right in, you know, to doing groups, you know, which to me, I would think has got to be kind of like a scary leap, but to me, it just shows people too that, you know, everybody that's listening, hey, we can take these risks, take this jump, and I mean, all kinds of things can happen.
Well, I honestly believe that if people can hear me, you know, I don't care if it's a stadium with 100,000 people in. If they're there and they want to change, and you know this, Kathy,
yeah,
that's the criteria. You know, like, do you really want to change? Are you ready to change? You know, I think Mike Mandel's called it the threshold. Are you at that threshold where you're ready to make those changes? Because if you are, and you're listening to me, and you're willing to get into this, then I have no doubt, doesn't matter who's listening, how many people there are, they're going to go into hypnosis. And if they're there for that change, they're going to get the change. So there are no limits. You know, if you think, and in some respects, in a big group, there's a group dynamic as well. You know, I'd often have someone who's thinking, they're sitting there thinking, I don't think I'm hypnotized. And they'd look up and they'd look around the room and there's 200 people sitting there and they go straight back in.
right.
It's just phenomenal.
Right.
But, you know, I just think we haven't even scratched the surface of what we can do with hypnosis and hypnotherapy now. And the more we learn and the easier it becomes and the more we get rid of what I call the fluff around it, you know, the ceremony around it. I mean, you were there in Las Vegas when Mike Mandel did his keynote speech.
Oh,
you know, it's phenomenal. You know,
yeah.
an hour of embedded loops and taking you on this journey and taking you back. For me, he's the best as far as I'm concerned. I know he said I was the best, but the reason he said that is because he picked me up from the airport when I did a presentation in Toronto, and he was going through a thing that he wanted to get rid of, and you know, and for him, he's the greatest in the world as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he'll tell you that, you know, this problem disappeared and he doesn't know what I said. You know, but at some point, and we were just talking, but I knew there was a moment when I could just say, and I just said to him, I don't think I'll ever bother you again. And it didn't. You know, and so sometimes just in conversation now, once you understand and you're looking for those spikes of emotion, if I make you laugh, I can influence you. That's how easy it is. You know, and I know, providing I know exactly when that spike of emotion is, I can give you a suggestion that's likely to bypass any resistance.
Right. Well, and it's so fascinating because I think so often our subconscious is right there wanting to help, and this conscious part of ourselves doesn't let it. I was talking with a woman at a party, and she was talking about how inhibited she was around her husband, and she didn't want to, like, she wouldn't even put on lingerie, and it was really bothering her, and she wanted to be more adventurous. And I said, well, why do you think you're like that? She goes, I don't know. And I said, yes, you do. And she goes, yeah, blah, blah. And she tells me the entire story. And I went, so for the entire night, I realized anytime she'd say, I don't know, all I had to say was, yes, you do. And she'd give me this great answer. She just wasn't aware of it at first. She was either embarrassed about it or she was covering it up, or that, you know, she knew, but she wasn't tapping into that. And I think we just have to ask the right questions. And you're right, Freddie, get people in that right emotional mindset. And have you had any, Mike Mandel always he was actually on our show for a couple episodes. He tells the story about the, I'm a swinging dick. The guy who he had so much trouble working with. And so he ended up doing that with the rock star in Australia. Have you had a really difficult client or situation where you're like, nothing's working, what do I do with this person?
Well, I think it's about intellect, to be honest with you. It sounds a harsh thing to say. But, I think a lot of people think, well, if I'm weak-willed or I'm not very bright, then I'm easy to be hypnotized. It's the absolute opposite to that. The more intelligent, the brighter they are, the easier they are to go into hypnosis. That's what I find. I mean, I'm not knocking this place in Wales called Llanelli, but I did a group quit smoking down there once, and I start with a finger lock. So quite simple, just do the whole group with a finger lock. And I say, just follow my instructions. So I say, copy me. And then I'm looking around the room and there are people saying, my fingers aren't coming together.
Because they're not copying you.
You might as well say, go home, have a cup of coffee, because they're not going to get it. And it's just, so they're not, I don't see clients as resistant. I think, and there are no poor clients, there are poor hypnotists. And when people put it on, well, it's not me, it's the client, I think that's bad. I mean, I just think some people get it and some people don't. And some people are ready and some people aren't. And sometimes I ask that question of everyone, are you ready to quit? Are you ready to do this? And do you want to do it? And quite often I say, well, no, I don't want to quit, but my wife wants me to quit. Or my doctor wants me to quit. I say, well, come back when you want to do it.
Yeah.
When you're ready to change, because you can't make people do stuff. I had a guy once came to see me. He said, I want to quit smoking. So I've had a kidney removed. He said, from cancer. The doctors have said, if I continue to smoke, I might have another 5 or 6 years. But stop smoking, I could live to old age. And he said, this is going to be a challenge. I said, if it's going to be a challenge, I'm going to lose. Because I'm not here to challenge you. I'm not here to fight with you or argue with you. I'm here, this is a collaboration. We're going to do this together. It's not about me enforcing my will on you. And it's what I say to all my clients now. I want you to have more choice, not less choice. Right. Say, can you make it so I just hate cigarettes? I said, well, at the moment you're smoking 20 cigarettes a day or whatever it is, and you don't feel you have a choice. You're lighting up whether you want them or not. If I was to make it so you can't smoke, you still have no choice. It'd be me making you do it. When you leave here today and the need for a cigarette's gone, and you're with your kids and someone offers you a cigarette and you smile and say no thanks, you can take the credit because you're going to make the choice. And it's the same with weight loss, it's the same with fear and phobia and all the other things we have in our life, It's about saying, I'm ready and I'm willing to work with you. I'd like to think that's, you've met me, out of the presentation room, in the presentation room, at the bar, and I'm no different. I'd like to think I'm no different than I am right now speaking to you.
Yeah.
And that's what people get. They know that I want it for them. And I put a little thing out, a post the other day, this thanks protocol. I don't know if you read it. I had a dream about Tom Hanks, believe it or not. And in this dream, you might not have heard this, Jace, but I dreamt I was hypnotizing Tom Hanks with an induction that's not being used yet. So I'd invented it in my dream. So I put this on Facebook. Now I'm going to invent it. So I said, if you're interested in learning this, put whatever it was. Someone put the name Tom Hanks, but T Hanks instead of Tom Hanks, which spelled thanks.
God.
So the whole point of this thing is about self-appreciation, self-love. That's the thanks protocol. But it comes from a couple of things. I'll tell you quickly. For years, I've been saying to my students, when you're working with someone, just run this loop in your mind. I care about you and I want you to be well. I said, if you feel it's appropriate, right, say it, but you should at least hold it in your heart and think it when you're working with people. So I've been saying this for a long time and using it myself and my clients, but I believe they pick it up. If you're, some people come into this, they're not often, people come in and think, this is a good way of earning some money. And if all you're thinking about is the person in the chair and how much money you can earn, they're going to pick that up. I don't care what you say. If when you're in that room, all you're thinking about is how can I help this person? I care about you. I want you to be well. They will pick that up as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, these words were running around in my mind. And then I went to India last year. We ran some courses in India, in Hyderabad and Kerala. And my son and I, Anthony, we try and learn as much of the language. You have to do a competition. Went to Brazil. Who can learn as much Brazilian Portuguese before we get there? So he sneakily started learning Hindi and didn't tell me about it. Okay, so he could, when he gets to India, he could converse better than I could. So anyway, I thought I'd catch up. So I asked the guy, you might know this name, Tim Cummings. He did a presentation. I think,
Oh, yeah.
in Las Vegas. Anyway, I said to him, he said, you're going. I said, yeah, but Anthony's ahead of me on the language. He said, well, all you need is the greeting, which is namaste. So I said, what does it mean? He said, well, I recognize the God within you, which I think is a great greeting, or I recognize the divine within you. But I'm not a religious person. So for me, it didn't sit that well. So, but change one letter in that and it becomes, I recognize the good within you. So anyway, this thanks protocol has come around from this. So you've probably heard of Ho'oponopono, I think it's called.
Yeah, we just had Mark on talking about that.
Yeah, right. So they repeat the words, don't they? I think it's like, I love you, forgive me, or
Thank you, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Which it's a lot of sort of forgiveness in my mind, but I'd heard about this. So the thanks protocol is this: it's you get into the state, you know, the hypnotic state. But I do this before I get out of bed in the morning. You know, when my body's still asleep, I'm awake. And run these words in my mind. I recognise the good within you. Thank you. I care about you, and I want you to be well. All right. So for my mind, it's much more positive than I forgive you. I'm sorry. You know, blah blah blah. But anyway, either way, the Ho'oponopono thing's great. I love it. But the thanks protocol was pretty much based on these words. So I just think when we're working with people, if they're feeling that from you, then they get into it with you. You know, and that's how I feel. And that's why I think I have good results, and I do. But hold that in your heart. I care about you and want you to be well.
Yeah, well, because it seems like, I mean, I've got all kinds of questions going through my head right now, right? I mean, I could talk to you for hours too. You know, it's interesting because, like you said, you know, at the beginning of just starting with the emotion, right? Because again, if you think about the brain, conscious, subconscious brain, thinking versus feeling, right? Thinking is more prefrontal cortex, conscious kind of stuff. You know, emotion and feeling is more in the subconscious area. So to me, you know, intellectually, it makes perfect sense, whether it's, you know, a hypnotic induction, whether it's feeling emotions for a loved one, whatever it is, helps us kind of cross over into that subconscious area where we can actually do the work. Right.
Okay.
So it's interesting that you've come up with so many different ways, because even the thank you, right? You're feeling grateful. Grateful is an emotion. The more grateful you're feeling, the more we can kind of tap into that. So to me, again, it's kind of like, you know, kind of mind blowing a little bit. But I wanted to go back to one of the things you said about that intellectual people were easier to actually, you know, get into hypnotic state, because, you know, for me, this has always been and still is one of the things I'm trying to work on, because I'm a very analytical left brain kind of person. I'm usually always in my consciousness. I'm trying more and more, you know, to get into Well, and okay, that's the easy answer, right? Is it's like, stop trying, stop analyzing, you know, it's like, because I told Kathy before, you know, especially when
you love it. So why fight it? Just get into it.
I know. But see, there's the part
I know what you're saying.
There's the part of me that kind of wants to understand. It's like, you know, I listen to something the first couple times and I'm kind of tearing it apart. Oh, okay. I understand why they're saying that. That makes sense. That's bringing in the other emotion. That's doing all this, you know. But, you know, like you said, I guess I just need to let it.
Well, that's why, I mean, every first session, at least, I always use metaphor. Because metaphor is an easy way of getting the person out of their own way. You know, they're concentrating on the story, thinking, like you'd be thinking, why is he talking about horses? Why is he talking about this or talking about that? And at that point in time, where your conscious mind's trying to figure that out, your unconscious mind's going, yeah, come on.
I got it. I understand, right?
Yeah. And so, you know, I always use metaphor. I think it's one of the things that have been handed down throughout, before the written word, people told stories that people got meaning from. You know, and we use it every day in analogies, and you know, and we just do it. And I think, for me, I love it. I might have 4 or 5 people. I've seen over 30,000 clients. I have 4 or 5 metaphors that I've used with 30,000 clients, and 30,000 clients will have got something different from each one of them.
Sure.
Because, you know, the way our brain works, when someone's telling you a story, our brain goes on this divisional search for meaning. And you know, one guy said to me once, you know, he said, if you just hypnotize someone and got a newspaper and read a paragraph out of the newspaper, the person would think there has to be a reason for this. And they'd probably find some meaning that relates to their problem, even though it has nothing to do with it.
It was funny during my first wedding, because now I have to say that. During my first wedding, we had all this ritual and all these very sort of pagan-y things, and we jumped a broom at the end. It was a very fun ceremony. Marriage didn't last very long, but the wedding was cool. But at one point,
you still got the broom.
we decided to play some song from Phantom of the Opera, and you never realize how long the song is till you're standing in front of 120 people going.
Yeah.
So I was thirsty, so he grabbed water and he gave me the water and he drank the water and we just drank the water. And at the end of the ceremony, people are like, that water ritual you did was so moving. And we're like, what the fuck are you talking about? We were thirsty. Yeah. But then we realized that because there were so many other things they didn't know, they weren't familiar with, that they thought that was part of this ceremony of us quenching each other's thirst. And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. We did that thing. Yeah, that was totally planned. Like, what?
But the thing is, anything can become the ceremony, anything can become the induction. I mean, there's a guy in England called James Brown. He calls himself an opportunity, a professional opportunity. He's a pickpocket, basically. But he doesn't do it criminally. He does it to as entertainment and teaching. I mean, he's phenomenal. I mean,
he's incredible.
He can take your tie off without you knowing, and while he's giving you your tie back, take your belt off. That's the kind of man he is. He's incredible. But he did a thing at not last year, year before, at the UK Hypnosis Convention, where he said, got a guy out who wants to be hypnotized, got up and he got a bottle of water, and he said, this is hypnotic water. So I'm gonna, first splash, your eyes will feel heavy. Second splash, they'll close. And on the third splash, you're going to go into hypnosis. So you went, ready? It was just amazing because he said that's what's going to happen, you know. And if someone believes it strongly enough, that's going to happen. It's just the way we are.
Absolutely.
No, it's phenomenal what we can do. I mean, I've got a thing out at the moment. I mean, I wrote a thing of my quit smoking protocol. It's out there somewhere. But my son said, why don't you write one for the public? That's just for hypnotherapists to learn how to do what I do. Why don't you do one for the public, like the Freddy book, if you like? Mm-hmm. The way I work is so simple. I wrote this thing. It was about 5,000 words. I couldn't call it a book. And I thought, what could I charge for it? I'd done an audio with it. And I thought, why don't I just put it out there for free? You know, and so it's out there. There's a thing, it's out now as the worldquitsmoking.com, right? So I put it out on Facebook. You know, I've recorded this thing and it's out there for free. I'm doing it as an honesty project. So anyone wants to do it, they don't have to pay, but you can donate 10 quid to children's charities, children's cancer charities. So because I've got 2,000 people in my Facebook group, people said, do you want it recorded in French? Do you want it recorded in Spanish? So now it's in about 12 or 15 languages, including American Sign Language. It's just amazing.
Wow.
How many people got on board? It's out there. Quitsmoking.com. It's free. You go on, you download the pamphlet, you download the audio, and only if you quit, you can pay 10 quid. That's all we're asking. And every penny goes to children's cancer charities. And I'm really chuffed with that because the amount of people that got on board. We got Laurie Hammond recorded it in American female. We got a guy called Scott Grossberg from LA. He's a lawyer there. He's recorded it in American accent, if you like. We've got it in Spanish. We've got it in French. We've got it in Portuguese. We've got it in Hungarian, in Finnish, I think it is. You know, and so many other different languages. And people have just got on board. They're all giving this for free. They're volunteering. They've translated the book into their language, and they've translated and recorded the audio. I think that for me, if I never do anything else, and it's out there and it's working, that'll be phenomenal. You know.
Yeah. Here's what I love about you, Freddie. So my journey to hypnosis, it's only been like 5 or 6 years. And I started going to hypnotherapy conferences, and the first 2 people I met were egomaniac assholes. Literally, I walked into a conference and the first 2 people I came across were just jerks. And I was around so many hypnotists who were just into power trips and into ego and the more I've gotten to know the amazing people that are in this profession, ones that are the greatest, you and Mike Mandel and Ken and Jason and, you know, like all these people that are so phenomenal, they are so generous and so loving and so just filled with the spirit of giving. And it's so nice to have flipped that, because you guys are some of the tops in the world and you're also the most generous. And I realized those 2 guys I met at first who were just egomaniac jerks, they're not very good. They were just covering up for, you know, it's like the little guy in the big truck. So it's well,
I don't know, you were in my presentation last year at Hypnosis Thoughts.
Yeah.
I mean, that room was just like full of love, wasn't it? It was just, you know, it was just crazy. It was just phenomenal. And it is. I mean, you can't express it in any other way.
No.
But, you know, when I say to people, come up, and, you know, I don't go, well, you look like a good subject, or you might be good. I just say, if you want to be free of the pain, come up.
Yeah.
And, you know, and people flood the stage, you know. Yeah. And it doesn't matter to me. I assume that everyone can get this. I assume that everyone can be hypnotized. And that generally is what happens. Yeah. You know, and that feeling, you know, in that room was just, I mean, you probably, one time I couldn't even speak. You know, when Daniel Geddes came in, you know, what a moment.
I still cry thinking about that. So Jason, so Freddie said he was taking people's pain away, and he said, well, what are you at? What are you at now? And everybody could kind of drop down to like either 0 or 1 or 2. And there was one guy, Daniel, who I think had only gotten down to a 4. And Freddie said, well, head back to your seat. And when you realize you're pain-free, you're going to come up front. I'm going to cry now and say, Freddie, I love you. And like 20 minutes goes by, and all of a sudden Daniel jumps up out of his chair, runs up on stage, and goes, Freddie, I love you. And the entire audience is just weeping. We're like, ah! It was beautiful. Look, I can cry now.
Carry on. I was like, you know, choked. And
you
know, the first time that happened was when we did the thing in Toronto with Mike Mandel. And I said the same thing, because it's like a post-hypnotic time-bound suggestion. You know, it went down to a 2. And I said, okay, so we'll go back to your seat. I don't want to be 5 minutes or 10 minutes from now, when you suddenly realise every ounce of that pain's gone. And when it does, you'll come up and say, Freddie, I love you. I don't even know why I said it. It was the first time I did it in Canada. And this guy was like a trucker, you know, so he came up, I love you, Freddie, you know.
That's great.
Mandel was going to have a T-shirt with, you know, I love you, Freddie, on the front, and whatever it was on the back. You know, it was just, but, you know,
amazing.
It's just joy, isn't it? I mean, Hypno Thoughts Live, I have to say, you know, I do presentations around the world, and great people, don't get me wrong. But Hypno Thoughts Live is one of those places where it's just a love vibe. Yeah. It's just, people are just so nice, and everyone wants the best for everybody. You know, I just love it there. I mean, it's great. But
it's amazing.
Said, I don't know why you can't be generous with this. I find it hard, and it sounds crass to say, hard to even ask for money for doing this work, because I can't even call it work. I say I qualified as a hypnotherapist in the early 90s, and I haven't worked since. That's how I feel about this.
Yeah, that's so great. Oh my God, we've once again blown even past our half hour of time. Oh my God, Freddie, you're amazing. So you've got a new book coming out that a bunch of hypnotists, and thank you so much for letting me be a part of that, are contributing stories. And what's the best website to reach you? And tell me that smoking site again.
What site? The smoking site. WellQuitSmoking.com.
Cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then
I've got my book out there, Hypnotherapy. You know, people seem to love that. and we've got this collaboration which you're now part of, which
Yeah.
I think is great. Lovely story from people in hypnotherapy. It's going to be out maybe June or July, hopefully.
Yeah, beautiful. And what's the best sort of general website to reach you?
FreddyJacquin.com.
Okay, beautiful.
And most, all the other things on it. This new project, which is out for free, the immune system boost MP3 is going to be on there. The other stuff's on the quit smoking site. All those links are on there. FreddyJacquin.com. It's dead simple.
Yay.
As am I.
No, you're incredible, and I love that everyone is so generous with their time and their knowledge. And Jason and I did a show on sometimes the learning happens in the bar, not the classroom, and that came out of the UK Hypnosis Convention, because we all sit around and we share knowledge and we share stories, and it's not always about the classroom. It's about just being in life and being present with people. So I so appreciate you. You're amazing. Your son's
Likewise.
amazing.
Yeah, you're fabulous. It's great to meet you, Jason.
Well, it's great to meet you.
On your hypno journey, you're in it now, mate. There's no way out.
I know. I'm going down the rabbit hole with everybody else. I'll have to be at Las Vegas and everything.
We'd have so much.
No, I wanted to acknowledge you, Freddie, because as we're going through talking about it, and you talked about the thank protocol, right? And the term that you said, I care about you and want you to be well.
Yeah.
And you totally embody that. I mean, again, I can feel your energy clear across the pond, right? Of just how much you care, what you're doing and how you're trying to make the world a better place. So totally love you, man. I mean, it's just what you're doing does impact life, because, even that story, about trying to reduce pain at the conference that you were talking about, everybody has pain.
Yeah.
And
when Kathy would tell you that room, I said, anyone in pain, stand up.
Everybody stood up.
See how many people are in pain, emotional, physical. When we ran this thing, it takes 5 minutes, the arrow technique.
Yeah.
Which is what people sort of know me for. There's so much more to me than that, but they still know me for that. And when I said, if your pain's gone drastically reduced, sit down. And when the majority of the room sit back down again, it's amazing, and we all have the ability to do it. You have the ability to do that. We have a training platform if anyone wants to go to. It's dead cheap. I think it's $47. You can go on there, and all of my stuff, and all of my son Anthony's stuff's on there. I don't know why he's giving it all away, to be honest. So I can't figure it out. But you can download the Arrow product on there. You can download my quit smoking product on there. All of the stuff we did with Mike Mandel, all of that training's on there. And I think if you're interested in hypnosis, it's really worth doing. I'm not trying to sell it, but I think it's really worth doing.
Oh yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Hopefully, anyone listening to this, watching this, hopefully I'll meet you in person someday, maybe in the Alligator Bar at in New Orleans or somewhere. And
I love New Orleans.
I do too. Cool. All right. Oh my God, I want to talk to you all day, but we have to go. Okay, so everybody go.
I look forward to seeing you again in person. And thanks for having me on.
You're so great. Yeah, I'm Kathy Gruver. I can be reached at kathygruver.com.
And I'm Jason Mefford. I can be reached at jasonmefford.com. So go out, unlock your potential, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Fire and Earth podcast. See ya.
See ya.